Today we are going to install the new first to market Western Filters dual bracket Provent catch can and Donaldson diesel pre-filter. First, identify the install area on the passenger side. Using a pair of pliers, pinch the connector and remove the cable. Then remove the 3 bolts holding the factory bracket housing the fuel filter. Then remove the bracket from the engine bay. There is one more bolt on the lower support you'll also need to undo. Using an extension on your drill will make it much easier to remove. Disconnect the fuel line from the clip and push it to one side. This will allow fitting the catch can a lot easier. Then you can fit the bracket. It is tight and may require some patience to get it into place. Line up the hole on the lower support and reinstall the bolt. Then using the supplied bolt in the kit, secure the bracket to the firewall. First go. Now the bracket is loosely fitted, we can now move on and fit the catch can. Fit the drain hose to the bottom of the Provent and secure with the supplied hose clamp. Then route the hose through the cutout in the bracket down into the wheel arch. Then remove the lid from the catch can. This will make it easier to fit it to the bracket. Using the supplied M8 bolts, nuts and washers, secure the Provent to the bracket and tighten. Refit the fuel hose back into the clip, then reinstall the bracket back to the fuel housing. Pull on the kit bracket and slide over the top of the factory fuel bracket. Then tighten all 3 bolts to secure the WFB53 in place. You can now return the lid to the Provent. Use the supplied P-clamp to secure the drain kit. There is an M8 nut and bolt in the kit to mount to the chassis. You can now remove the top engine cover and locate the factory breather hose from the crankcase. That will need to be removed by pinching the hose clamps at either end. Using a flat-headed screwdriver, unclip the vacuum line and untangle it from the harness. Route the hose on the outside and plug it back in. Now to connect the kit hose. Starting with the longest hose, push it onto the lower port of the Provent and secure with the hose clamp. Yep, there we go. Then connect the other end to the air intake, again using the supplied hose clamps to secure. And just so it looks a little bit neater, we're just going to run that vacuum line underneath the kit hose. Then connect the last hose to the top port of the Provent. Push the hose on all the way, securing with the clamp. And the final step to plumb up the system correctly is push on the other end of the hose onto the crankcase outlet. Make sure to secure with the hose clamp. And here is an overview of both the hoses connected. Note the route of the hoses near the Provent. With the kit hose going across the engine, it is advised to remove the foam pack under the engine cover. This step is optional as both methods will still operate normal. Then return the cover. The Provent catch can installation is now complete. Now we can move on to the Donaldson PreFilter. Using a flat-headed screwdriver, unclip the green connector on the fuel line from the filter. Follow the hose down the side of the engine and repeat the process on the red connector. You may want to have a rag on hand to soak up any fuel that is in the line. It's also a good idea to have a drain pan under the car to stop it from leaking on the ground. Once both clips have been disconnected, remove the hose from the system. And for easier access to the red clip, you can also access it through the passenger side wheel arch. To set up the fuel head assembly, use the two blanks to block off the left side ports. Fit the two speed flow fittings as shown in the right side ports. Attach the Donaldson filter to the fuel head assembly and mount it to the bracket. Slide it onto the bracket and secure it with the supplied hardware. In the kit you will be supplied two lengths of hose, 560mm long. Attach the fittings as shown here. First, connect hose 1 to the inlet port of the fuel head. Screw it on all the way by hand and then tighten it with a spanner. Then connect the other end of hose 1 to the fuel feed line in the wheel arch. Push on the fitting until you hear a click. Then give it a gentle pull to make sure it has attached properly. Route hose 2 down through the factory bracket and feed it up to the outlet port of the PreFilter head assembly. Screw it on by hand all the way and tighten with a spanner. The other end of hose 2 is pushed on to the factory filter. Make sure you hear it click. To bleed the system, undo the bleed nut on the PreFilter head assembly. Turn the key onto accessories and you will hear the fuel pump prime. You may need to do this a few times until you see bubbles appear. Then tighten the bleed nut closed. Then turn the key and start the car. Let it idle for between 30 seconds to 1 minute. The Donaldson diesel PreFilter installation is now complete. And here is our filter after just 2,000 kilometres from our road trip to the Melbourne 4x4 show. The filter must first get fully soaked before you'll see any oil in the drain hose. Remember to drain the Provent regularly or every 3,000 kilometres. And replace the filter element every 40,000 kilometres. If you'd like more information on this kit, head over to westernfilters.net.au.